Welcome to the second episode of our Red Riding Hood project. Hello my friends, and let's get started. As you can see in the first episode, we created a rough design and composition to show us in which direction we want to go. In this episode, it's all about color, contrast, and the readability of the picture. And I show you two tools that are very much used by artists. One is a Gaussian blur layer, the other one is a black and white adjustment layer. The Gaussian blur layer enables you to see the picture as if you would squint your eyes. So there is much less detail and you can see, can I still see what is going on in the picture? The other one with black and white takes away all the color, of course, and this tells you if the contrast is still working and you can still see what is going on. And as you can see in the black and white version, the wolf is almost fading into the background, and that is not good. And if we combine both, of course, it's really hard to make out what is going on in the picture at all. So this is a problem that we have to fix. So let's do that. Let's go back, disable them, and I will create a new layer, and I'm going to set that to overlay. So there we go. And with this set, I can just paint on here and try out different colors, and we will create another layer for the brightness also. So I will take my brush, and the important thing about this process, and I really can't stress this enough, is work messy and work fast. This is not about going into details. This is not about making it look perfect. It is about keeping your creative juices flowing and experiment and find a nice solution to your problem. Because when you start to go into details, you lose that flexibility and everything starts to become rigid and stiff and loses its liveliness and creative spark. So that's not a good thing. The other thing I want to suggest to you, when you double click up here to have the color picker, use the HSL color wheel, because this shows you colors, how they relate to each other, and it's very easy to select the hue and the brightness and the saturation of the colors. So this is a very quick way to go about it. So we can select here, and of course up here when you look at this little circle, you can see what the actual color is that you're choosing. So I want to go for somewhat of a teal color first. Let's go like this, maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit darker. Okay, let's paint this in here. And like I said, be dirty. Don't worry too much about it looking perfect. Doesn't matter at all. You only want to get a feeling for what is happening if the picture would be like that. So that's the most important part. And here we create, as you can see, a darker night around the main elements, or basically the forest is getting darker and has this kind of teal color, as you know from a lot of movie posters. So this is helping us a lot. And you can see already there is a lot more readability in the picture. So now when we go to black and white, okay, we still have to adjust the brightness, but if we go to Gaussian, you can see that now it is a lot more readable than before. And disable our layer that we just created. You can see here, very hard to see what's going on. Here, a lot more readable. You can see there's a person, and the red now is popping out. It's really colorful, although we didn't change the red at all. See? Turn it off, kind of hard to see. Turn it on, because it's a contrast to the blue color. We can see now the red that is almost surrounding the person and the bright white of her clothes. Again, with this, her clothes looks like it's gray and messy and not shiny. And here it's really bright. So this is a huge difference. Also, the wolf is much more visible. So these things, testing these things, playing around with that is really important. Another thing I really want to do quickly is to get the wolf behind these trees over here. So I will go in here and create a mask that I will pull onto the wolf. And I can just go here, use a black color, make my brush a bit harder and smaller. And I can now just paint on here. Let's see, this should be okay. And again, like I said, don't care too much about it looking perfect, as long as it works and it gives you the impression of what you want to see. That's okay. There we go. I can switch over to white to correct this a little bit. A little bit too much here. Go back to black. There we go. So that's good. Let's remove the wolf from this tree here too. And I'm doing this because, again, this gives us a little bit more of the readability that we are searching for. So now you can see there is a strong contrast between the trees that you have in the foreground and the wolf, the glowing, ghostly wolf in the background. So that's really helpful to us. We activate this again. You can see this has also a big impact. It makes it more 3D and more alive. So these are kind of like small tricks you can use to make the picture more interesting. Okay, I want to have down here a little bit of yellow for her light that she's using. Make the brush bigger again. A bit bigger. This looks good. Let's go here to our color wheel. I'm gonna try to, let's see, what is a good color. Make this not as bright. Bit orange maybe. There we go. And this, of course, you have this kind of orange and teal contrast, so this works well together. Let's see. This is too much, but we can reduce the opacity a bit. There we go. So we have a little bit of a glow around her. There we go. Okay. So another thing that I want to do now is that I create a second layer here, and that second layer I will set to luminosity, and we can take gray. Let's see from the brightness. I want to make my brush a little bit smaller. That's too small. Okay, that looks good. Okay, and now I can paint on here. Take away. Oh, I have reduced the opacity. Let's see. Okay, this is too much though. Okay, let's do it like this. And then I can still reduce the opacity of the layer. I think I went over the nose of the wolf. That's not good. Remove this here a bit. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to the brush. I also caught his ear, but that's not a problem. I can remove that too, and I want to remove a little bit of the shadow of the fog down here. That's a bit too much. There we go. Bit over here, and make this really much softer. There we go, nice. Remove this again here from the brightness of his ear. Okay. And I know this looks messy, but again, this is not the problem. This is not something to be concerned about. So let's reduce the opacity of this so we can adjust it a little bit to where we want to go. And as you can see now, with the difference in brightness, it again makes the picture more readable and more interesting. You have much more of a flow and a connection between these two, and are not, how can I say, disturbed by the background and the detail in the background. So this is helping a lot. for the picture. And this can help, of course, to go into the direction of where you want to go with the colors and with the look of the picture. I think I should make this part down here also less bright. Let's go like this. So the legs kind of fade out into the forest. So he himself is a bit of kind of a fog creature, ghostly creature. And here, did we have the blue in here? I'm not sure. Let's take some teal again. Like this. Paint it in here a little bit, where he's coming out from the forest. Okay, so you see that this is a big change compared to where we started from this picture, which is almost black and white now from the colors and from the contrast. And now if we look at this picture here, although it looks messy, you have a much better story and you have a much better connection between the two main characters and how they relate to each other. And now if we use the black and white, you can see that the wolf is much better visible compared to the darker background, and also she is sticking out again compared to the darker background. And this is because we changed the brightness. And this you would not see when you look at it in the color version, because here it looks like the person is a lot brighter than the background, but indeed she is not really. The contrast here is very much the same and only changes when I really change the luminosity of the background and not just the color, because this is how our eyes can cheat us, because we see something and our brain says, okay, this has to be darker, so we think it looks dark, but actually does not. And this is important, for example, for different sizes, but this is also important for people maybe with impairments of their vision, but also when you see some picture or a cover in bright sunlight, for example, on a display. If it has bad contrast, if it doesn't work, the readability is bad of the picture, the people will have a very hard time to actually see what is going on in the picture, which is, by the way, also a good idea. Once in a while, zoom out and try to see if you can still make out what is going on in the picture when it's small, because often, you know, you have these small thumbnails, especially in apps on your cell phone, stuff like that. Okay, so of course you can play a lot around with this, and another trick that you can do, by the way, is create another adjustment layer, set it to HSL, and this is very rough, but you can move around here and you might find something where you say, hey, this is an interesting color combination, or this is maybe interesting color I want to use. Not all of them, of course, but some elements could be interesting. For example, this contrast of having a red wolf or maybe a blood forest with the green eyes is an interesting combination that still could work. So this is a nice way to quickly figure out if there is something more or something different that you could do, or elements that you can use in your picture. Although this execution is far from being perfect, I really like how the colors come together and how they feel, and I feel they are much more scenic right now and have this kind of mythical touch to it and kind of a bit of movie feeling to them. So I think this is a good direction to go. Like I said, really go and experiment with your own concepts, with your own works, with different kind of colors, and be messy like this. And I'm looking forward to your results. And I want to stop here at this episode because, like I said, it's all about contrast, color, and the readability. So thank you for watching. If you like my videos, maybe subscribe to my channel. And if you want to support me even more, head over to Patreon, where you get my files with all the layers. You can get feedback for your pictures, and we can talk in live chat. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode. Bye.